Hello and welcome to level 18 of the Thoughts and Players podcast, the gaming podcast with bold takes and no strings attached. It is a very special episode of the Thoughts and Players podcast. It is our top 10 games of the annual episode. And if you don't know what that means, annual is another word for year or yearly. And in this one, we're talking about the top 10 games we've played this year. Now, we're taking a little bit of a liberal, giving ourselves some room here, because it's going to not just be games that came out this year, but games we played for the first time this year. So it could be a game that's got a little bit of age on it, a little bit of season on it, but it was a brand new experience to us this year. And we want to shout out, celebrate it, especially if it's great, because there's not a lot of great games out there. So yes, that is us. I switched it up this time. Cory's giving me that look because he's like, wait a minute, usually you say the names and stuff first, and that's how we change it up. It's a different time. Okay. So now that we had that out the way, let me do a reintroduction of this group, right? Because we got new people here. I looked at the data. We have a listener in Iceland. We have a listener in Iceland.
Really?
Shouts out to you.
Hello,
you're amazing.
Icelander.
That is awesome.
We also have a listener in the Philippines. Shout out to you. Okay.
Manny Pacquiao.
All right. So we very much appreciate you guys' support abroad and here at home. If you don't know by now, I'm Jeremy. And with me are two very special compadres. Of course, I have David.
What up?
And we have Cory.
We all make choices in life, but in the end, our choices make us. Andrew Ryan, BioShock. Neither of you have played that game, but had you played that game, it would have made your top 10 for that year. Just a fantastic game.
I do like the quote. That's a very
and we're making choices today. You know, I'm doing this really lame thing where the quotes kind of relate to our episodes, our levels. So, I mean,
right.
You know, if you're a little smarter, you kind of pick up on those little things I do.
You're a little smarter.
If you are.
If you're a little smarter, you pick up on them. They're not very easy to pick up on, guys. So yes. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, don't be mad at yourself if you don't.
Right. So, basically, we're coming into this. Obviously, if you guys have been listening to us for a long time or a short time, you probably know that we all have some pretty different, we skew very differently in regards to the games we like to play, but we do have some crossover here and there. I'm not sure if that will happen on this level. There's a strong possibility of it, but I don't know for sure if it will. But I am very excited to list my top 10 as well as hear the other guys' top 10s. I'm sure David has some great choices. Cory, not so much.
As always.
So I don't know, guys. How do you feel? You think we should jump right into this?
Yeah. Does anyone have any honorable mentions, or do we not want to say that?
Honorable mentions. That's very interesting. I don't think so.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't think so. You know what? Yeah, you know what? Actually, I changed my mind. I will give an honorable mention. All right. Honorable mention to Hellblade. If I would have played more of the game and not gotten so frustrated with puzzles, it probably would have made my list. But because I get frustrated with puzzles, and I really don't feel like trying to do puzzles while my protagonist is suffering psychosis, I did not finish the game.
Okay.
But yeah, special accommodations.
Okay, I want to give a shout out. I actually have 5, but I'm only going to name 2 real quick. Doki Doki Literature Club. It's a visual novel. It was a very unique experience. I loved it. I thought it was super unique. It was a great story. Not so much of a game as I wanted it to be, but yeah, I loved it. And then Ori and the Will of the Wisp. Now, Ori is a fantastic game. Honestly, it could have easily made my top 5 here. The only issue is it was so buggy at launch that it really hurt the gameplay. And that's one of the few games that I've ever had where it's just been like, man, this is so buggy that it kind of hurts it. So,
Yeah.
But without that, I think it would have made top 5.
That sounds like a game that just came out. Okay, I'll throw one out there. My 10th one was hard. It was basically which one was better with nostalgia. So special shout out to the Tony Hawk games that barely missed the cut.
Tony Hawk 1 and 2 remaster. Okay.
Yes.
Nice. Okay, guys. Honorable mention. We're going to jump into this list. This is a list that I know I've been thinking about. I wouldn't say losing sleep over, but I've really had to sit down and say, okay, get your mind together. What the hell are we thinking here? So, who wants to go first? Who's up for number 10?
I'll go. Let's go.
All right.
Number
David,
10 is one of our first games that we did a Was It Worth It on. It might have been a indie. No, I don't know. It's one of those two. But Streets of Rage 4. That's what beat Tony Hawk's. Mostly because I played those even younger than Tony Hawk. So grew up on 3. The 4 came out. I still actually never beat it. I got stuck and just stopped. But just playing it again, having the same feel, the music, the gameplay. I mean, it was a good game. It was worth it then. It's worth it now.
Nice.
That's my number 10.
I think that was our first. Was it worth it? Right?
It was not. It was actually our third, or a second. Our second.
Okay.
Our first one was a game that David's going to mention later, but Streets of Rage. I think it was one of the few Was It Worth It's where I think it might be the only one where we all played it.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I think we all enjoyed it. Don't know if it made any of our other top 10s, but I think we all had a really good time with that one. So good pick.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Jeremy, you care if I go next?
Go ahead.
All right, let's do it. All right, my number 10, in my opinion, is the best co-op game of the year, and probably the newest game, I think. It is Sackboy: A Big Adventure. Now, this just came out for PS4, PS5. I've been playing it with my wife, and as I've mentioned on the last few levels, it's just a fantastic co-op game. It really feels like a Rayman Origins or Legends or a Super Mario 3D world. Each level has like kind of a new gimmick, and they're always fun. The levels are creative. There's really good music. You can customize your character. The game has a great progression of very easy to hard. It has a lot of unlockables. It's just a very fun game to sit down with your significant other or a child and just play, not really have to worry about the difficulty or the intense story, and just have a good time. And I've enjoyed it. We have not beat it yet, but we are on the last world, and just a great game so far.
Nice. So, for number 10 for me, it appears that me and David have crossed paths early here. Because my number 10 is also Streets of Rage 4.
High five.
Game had fantastic artwork, even better music. The controls were tight. It was a really well polished game. When it came out, I think it was $20. It's just a really great experience of a game. And then if you tack that nostalgia onto it, it's even more so. For me, I didn't have that much nostalgia with Streets of Rage, but this game was one that did make a mark on me. Really enjoyed it. And number 10, it's just a well-made game.
Yeah, I'll say this. I think it was the only game where all three of us played the Was It Worth It for it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Cool. Please keep listening.
Yeah. That's not going to derail anything.
Go on.
So we move to number 9 on the list. Now, do we want to keep the same? We want to keep the same placement rhythm going. All right.
Yeah.
All right, David, you're up number 9.
Mine, number 9. I actually want to thank a listener because I took the effort to go out, get it, try it. Is Mo Stray. That not my typical game, but I liked it. I liked the music. Gameplay was very solid and smooth, and I got stuck a couple times, but I mean, it left a mark on me. It was a great story. It was a well-made game. So number 9's Mo Stray for sure.
Nice.
All right, good pick. My number 9 is the best island simulator game of the year, which, in my opinion, would be Animal Crossing. Now, Animal Crossing is a very particular game. You live on this island. You kind of go about doing things you want. There's really not an end game or a story, but it's a very relaxing game. It came out at March of this year when the pandemic went full swing. So I got a ton of hours in that game. I think like 90 or 100 hours myself. And while it's a game I'm not really going to go back to, for that time period that I played it, really enjoyed it. It was just a good like level up from the old Animal Crossings. So I know a lot of people still play it. I'm done with it, but I did have my fun with it. It is number 9.
Oh, I'm surprised it's that low, honestly.
It almost didn't make the list.
Oh wow!
It
wow.
was.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Guys.
fun, but it is what it is. I played a lot of good games this year, so
That's
Guys
you
playing
know-
some masterpieces, huh?
I'm playing some masterpieces. Yes.
Yeah. All right. My number 9 is a game that also came out in March, and that is Mount and Blade 2 Bannerlord. This game probably would be higher if it didn't come out in such a buggy, situation there. And though the game is technically in early access still, that's when it came out. It's recovered nicely. They've added a bunch of different updates and improvements and content to the game to make it even better. This game is going to last just as long as Warband, if not longer, because of the way it is. And even with all that being said, I had a great experience being able to raise an army, build your own kingdom, hire your vassals, power the same everything before like Warband, except bigger and better and prettier. Just makes it really great. This is definitely a game I'm going to go back to and put some more time into. But that puts number 9 for me, Mountain Blade Bannerlord. Awesome.
All right, I got to ask you a question, Jeremy, real quick.
Yeah.
Now, when we did the Was It Worth It for it, you said it was not worth it at that moment. Have they kind of like steadied the ship?
They have made it more worth it.
Okay.
So I would kind of change my position on that a bit more because they've made so many improvements and added so much more content. And as well as even though right now, right now we're recording this before the holiday, but right now, so December 17th, 18th, I forget what it is.
Yep.
There's currently 20% off on
Okay.
Mountain Blade Bannerlord 2 on Steam. If you want to look at it, it'll probably be gone by then, but who knows? We've also put a Facebook thing out on it, so make sure you look for that. We try to keep you guys up on deals for games that we've talked about in the past. So, definitely, I bought it for 40. It's at 40 right now. It's usually at 50. Even at 50, with everything they've done now, I'd say it's probably worth it now.
Awesome. Just waiting for that council report.
Yep.
Yeah, I want
Yes.
to make a note that that's the one positive thing we have with newer games is they can improve themselves and we can switch our opinions on them. Like,
Yeah.
way back when the game was the game. It was either good or not. But now they can change. I think
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah.
But I'll roll into my number 8, right? Into that.
Mm-hmm.
Cause mine is it's a battle royale. I have to put one in there, and the only one I can put in there is Spellbreak because the other ones I've played before this year. But as as we stated in levels before, it's a mage battle royale. Gauntlets, fighting with magic. I love it. What's not to love about a battle royale? That's short and sweet for that one.
Okay.
Nice. I will say shortly that what's not to like, if you don't like the format of battle royales, literally everything.
Shh, you weren't supposed to mention that.
Okay, got you.
All right. My number 8 is the best, not quite a Minecraft ripoff game of the year, and that belongs to Forager. Now, Forager is I believe a couple years old, or maybe 2019, but I found it for the first time this year. It was on Game Pass. I downloaded it just on a whim, and man, this game is addicting. It feels like a mobile game without any of the microtransactions or waiting. You're constantly getting these upgrades. You start off with a little pickaxe, you're mining different rocks and grass and ingredients, and all you're doing is combining those things to make bigger and better. And you start off on a small island, and you get money and you start unlocking islands around you and you get different binomes and you get different secrets and you solve puzzles and you fight enemies and you collect goods. It was a blast of a game. This one sucked me in right away. Like I was on it for hours at a time, and I didn't beat it because it really doesn't have an end game like that, but I felt I finished it enough where I was good with it. But a fantastic game. If you guys haven't played it, anyone, I know, Jeremy, you tried it, but for the listeners, if you haven't played it, maybe give it a try. Really, really good game.
It is a good game. I would recommend people try it. For number 8 was a game I talked about pretty early on in the podcast. It is Gears Tactics.
Wow.
Originally for PC, I think it's available on the Xbox Series now. But yeah, this is just a really good tactics game. It's just well made through and through. It takes place in the Gears of War universe. So it has that feel and aesthetic to it. The story is compelling enough for what it needs to be. The characters are interesting enough for what they need to be. The different ways you can customize your squad, add different types of weapons and buffs, different kind of tactical situations you're put in throughout the campaign. And it's a decent lift campaign. It's you're going to be in the double digits as far as hours when you're done with it. So, yeah, it's really good. Really, really good game. Surprisingly good, I would say. So, yes, number 8 goes to Gears Tactics.
I'm surprised to see that on your list.
Yeah, it's a good
Didn't
game.
expect that. All right. My number 7, listed it last episode actually, is the Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity.
Nice.
It's just it's good. It's solid straight through story, and playing it with my son just adds a whole another level of excitement with it, and it's just easy, With me usually playing online competitive games, I'm always pretty stressed trying to just win the entire time. But this one, I can just relax, kill some bad guys, just watch the story. It's a great game. Hyrule Warriors.
Nice.
Yeah, I think after your Was It Worth It and how you've been talking about, I think I am going to get it when it goes on sale. Especially since I played Breath of the Wild. It sounds just like a fun game, time killer, just kind of turn your brain off, fight all these enemies. I'm down for it.
Yeah, exactly. It's you still can do something you enjoy without having to work.
Have 100% focus.
Yeah.
Which is always, you kind of appreciate those games when you play like those like deeper games, where you can just kind of, hey, have fun.
Right.
Very nice to be able to turn your brain off and kill hundreds of digital pixels.
Thousands.
Yes.
According to David's son. Every last one of them.
Yeah.
All of them.
Doesn't matter if they have a family, wife, kids.
Yeah, we don't care. We don't care. They're going down.
All right. My number 7 is, in my opinion, the best online multiplayer game of the year for myself. Now, I believe this game came out a couple years ago. I think it just came to console this year, but I'm talking about Hunt Showdown. I talked about this game very, very early on, but this is a little bit of a battle royal. Not such a large scale as the other ones, but you have 4 teams of 3, which makes 12, right? Is my math right? So you have 12 people on the map, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to go to this, it's maybe like early 1900s Louisiana, like the swamps and stuff like that, and you're trying to find these clues. You have this power to look and find clues, and when you find 3 clues, you've then got to hunt a monster. The monsters might be like this giant butcher, this spider, stuff like that. So when you go and fight them, you kill them, then you got to grab his essence and you have to escape. The whole time, though, these other teams are also trying to do that. So it's a little push and pull of, hey, do I want to be the first one to kill this monster and get this stuff and try to escape quick? Or do you want to set traps for people? Do you want to wait for them to do the dirty work? And after they've exhausted all their goods, as they're leaving, you take them out. It's very tense, very good. It wasn't like the most perfect of games, but that's another game in the pandemic I played a bunch, a ton of hours into it, had a really, really great time with it.
Cool. So I'm gonna keep on brand here of not trying to throw shade or anything, but keeping brand on games that actually came out this year. My number 7 is Doom Eternal. So you guys might have remembered me talking about Shadow Warrior 2 and how that was basically the Asian brother or the Asian cousin of Doom Eternal. Well, Doom Eternal is your American red-blooded demon slayer, and it is a fast-paced, action-packed, challenging adventure where you shoot zombies and demons. The way that you have to pick up weapon mods and how you account for that and all that different type of stuff. How you combat enemies. Obviously, the glory kills are very bloody, very gory, and it's just brilliant. The crazy death metal that rages behind you as you defeat the spawns of hell. It is definitely an exhilarating game, a very good experience. So yes, and it's just a well-made game, man, just through and through. Everything's smooth and it looks great. Doom Eternal's number 7.
All right. That's a good position where I thought it would be for you. I'm getting a little better.
Yeah,
I had no clue you played it.
you don't believe I played it.
I had no clue you played it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
That was not on my radar. So.
Gotcha.
My number 6, it's as low as it is because it's not a new game, but it is a new game.
For shame.
No, get out of here. It did come out this year.
Oh.
All right. Number just me being me, you'd expect it to be higher. But it's Resident Evil 3 remake. So there is other non-Resident Evil games that are going to be above this. But just it being a remake, played the original, played this one. I still think it was a great game. Like I said in the previous level, it was worth it to get it. Because not only did you get 3, you got Resident Evil Resistance. But solid game, good plays. I loved the graphics. I loved the new things that they did with it. It's just couldn't be higher. Number 6, Resident Evil 3 remake.
Fair enough.
I think that's a fair place to put it, though. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So my number 6. Now I want to preface this by saying, at this point, 6 through 1, all of these games could have been number 1. Like, I feel that highly about all 6 of these games that are left. So even though it's 6, I think this is a ultra fantastic game that I absolutely love. But let me just get to it. Number 6 is the best Now I'm Depressed game of the year. And that would be The Last of Us 2. Now, man, The Last of Us 2, Jeremy, what you laughing for, man?
The best Now I'm Depressed.
Now I'm Depressed.
Okay.
And I think that's why it's at number 6, actually, because I love playing video games. I play games to have just a ton of fun. And The Last of Us 2 is fun, but it's telling but beyond fun, it's trying to tell a very dramatic and mature story. And it does that, in my opinion, very well. I think it's a great story. I think the combat's great. The game looks beautiful. And it kind of wrapped up that story from The Last of Us 1 really well when people thought there really couldn't be a sequel. Now, like I said, I have really no complaints about this game. But like I said, it is a little depressing. You really feel it when all these things are going on.
Right.
And these games above it, I feel like just give me a little more joy in my life. I don't think I'll go back to The Last of Us 2 ever just because of what it has in it. Maybe when the multiplayer comes, but I played through that story. I enjoyed it. I think it's a fantastic game. It deserves the awards it's getting. And it's my number 6. Great game.
Solid choice.
Nice. My number 6. You know what? I'm not going to say it was a depressing game, but I will say that it ends on not a very great note. And that is Mafia Definitive Edition. It's a great remake of the game. The new mechanics they introduced, which are just mechanics that they introduced later in the series, but into the story, the way they reimagined the story and the characters, everything's fantastic. The game looks absolutely beautiful. It plays very well. It's voice acted incredibly well. And it's tight. It's 12 to 14 hours of the straight mafioso. And you get to kind of live this romantic fairy tale life of becoming a gangster and being a gangster and all the cost that comes with that. It's just a great game, which is why it's number 6. It's great. So we have that's our 10, our 10 through 6, right?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
So that means that we've given you guys 5 games. We have another 5 to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break, as we always do. And when we come back, we may be using more soliloquies and flowery language because these are the top 5 games we played this year. And we just want to gush all over them. So we're going to do that following the break. We'll be back. More Thoughts and Players.
This level of Thoughts and Players is brought to you by us. If you've been enjoying the podcast so far, please show your support and let us know by subscribing to the podcast, following us on the socials, and contributing to community surveys and questions around our community segments. Doing so will help the podcast grow, keep our content engaging, and most importantly, make sure your voice is heard. Thanks for tuning in, and now back to the show.
And we are back with more Thoughts and Players. Now, we just got done doing our 10 through. Now we're going to do our 5 through 1. These are the games that we love the most this year that we want to gush all over. So you started us off last time. What's your number 5?
All right, so I'm gonna be a little devil advocate-y and say it's new. Because it was added this year, is Dead by Daylight, the Silent Hill chapter. It added Cheryl and it added Pyramid Head, and I really, really liked that one. Bought it immediately, leveled up them both, and just what Pyramid Head added to the game is really great. The playstyle that he has, I really connect with, and the perks that Cheryl added, 2 of them aren't really that great. Me nor not many people use them, but one of them that she added is top tier in my opinion, and it really, really helped and added to Dead by Daylight, and that's my number 5.
Cool.
Yeah, I think DLC is fair game for sure. So good pick. I'm really hoping they add Mr. X some point. I think that'd be a really cool addition from Resident Evil 2.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I know you can't. So my number 5 is you guys might be a little bit surprised by this, but it's the best. I'm a douchebag, but it's too hilarious not to be game of the year. And for me, that would be Fall Guys. Now, I've talked about Fall Guys a ton on this show. I really love it. It's like a platforming battle royale where you start off with 60 people. You're going through obstacle courses, and only a certain amount of people make it to the next one. And you keep playing, and it's just fantastic. It's so much fun. There's a lot of good customization. They've been doing different seasons, so they've been adding to it. And the part about me being a douchebag is I love grabbing people, and I love pushing them off. And I got hate mail from this game, and like, come on, I haven't got hate mail in years. This was fantastic. I think it's my most played game this year, with PlayStation 5 telling me I have like 200 hours in it at this point, which, is just fantastic. I loved it. Really great game. Now, it's number 5 and not higher up because it's really lacking those things like story, combat. But at number 5, it's a great achievement. I love it.
Wow, I was 4 off.
4 off.
I'm very interested to see what you put above that.
You will find out.
Interesting. So I want to take it in a direction. They talked about Fall Guys, which is this really kind of funny, silly battle royale obstacle coursey game, and you have you have the DLC.
Uh-oh. Again, or are you just gonna chop it and put it where you start talking?
Yeah, I'm gonna just chop it where I start talking.
Okay.
I think you let off at DL, so just start exactly from there and continue your thought. Okay?
No. Yeah, okay. So what I was gonna say. Oh no, I'll just simplify the entrance. Okay. Nice. That's a cool. Yeah, it's a really cool game to talk about there for number 5. So number 5 for me, it's coming from a different angle. It's not the douchebaggery or anything like the horror stuff, right? But it's a game that deals a lot with, I think, this year, and that game is Spiritfarer. Now, the reason I say it's Spiritfarer is because Spiritfarer deals with death, and unfortunately, there's been a lot of death this year. Um, that's one of the main, I guess, themes of the game, and it tackles it in a very beautiful way. The artwork is absolutely incredible. The music adds to the mood of the game and what you're doing, and it helps enhance the experience. The controls, it's kind of like a weird, in this game, you're ferrying spirits to the afterlife, and you have to fulfill their last requests in order for them to meet the afterlife in a peaceful way. Um, just the topic it covers, the artwork, the game, it plays very smooth, be able to jump around. You're building these different houses and different kind of places on your ship, on your ferry that these ghosts and spirits can use and that you can use to create items, craft items for them to complete, quests and different stuff like that. It's a really interesting, engaging game, but more so it's very poetic for unfortunately the time we're dealing in. But I know I enjoyed myself very much playing this game. Um, Spiritfarer is my number 5.
I had no clue you've been playing this game.
Yeah. I think I mentioned it before. Yeah.
You mentioned it at one time, but that's cool, man.
You need to mention it more than once for us to know. Come on.
Right. I mean, if you mention it once, it's a one-off. If you mention it on multiple levels, hey, we think you like it. So
Okay.
That's good to hear, though, man. It sounds like a great indie. Might jump back to it. It's a little long, right?
It's probably close it in on 20-ish hours. So
that's a long game for you. I know that.
It is.
Yeah.
But worth it, apparently.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Some games are.
Yeah.
Like your number 4.
Kind of. It can be. I'll definitely put more than 20 hours into it. It is more, still on the horror side. Kind of. I don't know. It's scary. It's Phasmophobia. Now, I know how I said it is either really boring or really scary. And the times when it's really scary and you're running for your life makes it worth it. Especially when you're playing with a group of friends and somebody's screaming for no reason out of nowhere. Well, I mean, obviously they're being hunted or something. But yeah, it's just when you're at peak amount of fun is what put this game at number 4. Like, sure, the startup and setting everything, it's boring, whatever. But just to get that scare and, figure out what kind of ghost is everything, it's endless fun.
Really looking forward to playing that game eventually. I can't wait. It sounds like the scariest experience I could ever have.
It is so scary. Like, I've jumped from other games before, but this just takes it.
Right. I can't wait to play it.
You're gonna play it in VR, right?
Yes. As soon as it comes Oculus Quest, I
commend you. I don't think I can do it.
Well, you'll be playing with me, so you'll know exactly how I'm feeling when I scream. And you've got to call my wife because I've had a heart attack. So.
I think you gotta go save him.
All right, so my number 4. Now, I know I said 6 through 1. Any of those games would have been top notch. Now, these 4 especially, I feel like if I would have played them in a different order, they would have been rearranged. But this is the latest game out of these 4 that I've played. I really love it. This is the best swagger of a black teen game of the year.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Miles Morales. Now, Spider-Man Miles Morales is a sequel to Spider-Man. Spider-Man is one of my all-time favorite games. This, with a little more story, a little more gameplay, could have been a top 10 of all time for me, but I still really, really enjoyed this game. Miles Morales is a main character, is a fantastic character. He has a great journey. The combat's amazing. The city is beautiful. Everything about this game is great. If you played Spider-Man, you know what this game is about. I just happen to really enjoy the character, and everything that goes in on that game. So Spider-Man Miles Morales is my number 4. Loved
Very
it.
nice. Very nice.
You know,
Appreciate that.
if Fall Guys wasn't your number 1, which it wasn't, this was my next guess. So I'm still lost what your number 1 is.
It'll make sense. Maybe
I mean,
not number
it's
1,
going
but the next
to,
2
but
will.
yeah. Well done.
Okay. So speaking of swagger, maybe not black teen swagger, but if we want to talk about middle-aged white guy losing his social or psychological and mental mind because of warfare swagger, then we're going to talk about Spec Ops: The Line. Now, this is the only game I think I have of that didn't come out this year. Came out, I think, 6, 7, 8 years ago. But I had a chance to beat this, play it through, and like I said, the story, the way it talks about war and the expense and the price of it, the way that it plays on the psychology of the soldiers and the men and women that are in harm's way, and the different type of decisions you have to make at the expense of human life. All that stuff plays as a very elegant backdrop to a very competent third-person shooter. So I enjoyed it immensely. It's like 6 or 7 hours, which is more kind of that's on the shorter side of my sweet spot, I'll say. So I had no problem with that. It was a very fun and engaging experience. A lot of different things in it. But it was also very let's see. It definitely provoked a thought. It was a thought-provoking experience as well. And that was why it is number 4, Spec Ops: The Line. I mentioned I played it before, and I would probably play it again. I'm in the process of doing my second playthrough of it. Very much recommend this game. I'm very happy I played it this year. That is my number 4.
All right, without spoiling, this has like one of the best endings of all games, right?
Yes.
That's what I've heard. Okay.
Depending on the choice you make, because it has more than one ending.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now that you're doing your second playthrough, is there different difficulties? Are you trying at a harder difficulty, or is it just same?
My second playthrough is pretty much the same, but that's because I'm looking for more of the kind of weird Easter eggs and details they put into the game from a narrative standpoint.
Okay.
A lot of foreshadowing that happens in the game.
I was about to say, you're getting a much different perspective of the story now, right?
Yeah, like there's one. So for one instance, like just an example, when there's different areas where you and your soldiers rappel down these glass skyscrapers. Now, one of the characters you're with at some point in the game is hung by a crowd of people, and when you're rappelling down, and one of the rappels, if you look at the reflection is of that character being hung, not of him rappelling down the building.
I love a good foreshadowing.
Weird stuff like that. So
yeah, that's cool.
More so what I'm looking out for now. I'll probably do another playthrough for the difficulty to see how different that is, but I'm really looking more so for that stuff.
Is it available on current systems? Xbox Series X?
I don't know if it's backwards compatible. I don't know.
Okay. I really want to play this game.
I got it through GOG. I don't know if it's on Steam.
Okay.
But yeah, I got it through the GOG to play on PC. It was like $6.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. All right. So my number 3.
Number 3.
It didn't come out this year. It's a 2-year-old game, but I played it this year first. And the reason it's up so high is because I've played this game called The Werewolf Game for about 10 years now. You know, you're just a group of people. You have to try to find out who the bad guy is. Or unless you're the bad guy, you want to kill all the good guys. And the game I'm talking about is Among Us. Now, as we've seen, it has blown up everywhere, escalated. There's just constantly memes on my Facebook page about Among Us, and so many people are playing it. So many people are streaming it. Didn't it win some awards, like mobile award and stuff?
Most likely.
I don't know. Yeah. So it's a great game, especially since I've been playing this kind of game in a forum form for so long. And now that they've stopped working on Among Us 2 and just, fix this one, put in a new map, fix some bugs, top tier in my opinion. I'll play this for a long time. That's my number 3.
fun fact, it just released for the Switch as well.
Yes, it did.
So I think I'll be buying it on there, so I don't have to play on my phone anymore.
Probably be a lot easier.
Yes. All right, guys. My number 3 is
Number
the
3.
best. Yes, number 3. Yes, my number 3 is the best daddy issues game of the year, and that would also be the best indie game of the year, in my opinion, which is Hades. Now, on the one level, I talked about Hades a ton, but it's just a very, very beautifully done game with the art style, the music, the voice acting, all AAA stuff from an indie developer. It's got a fantastic story, which you don't always get with indie games, and especially with roguelike games. That's what this is. You go through a dungeon, you die, you start back at the beginning with nothing. So you're trying to go and advance further on. And usually those are what those types of games are. That's all it is. But this has a great story where you're trying to leave the underworld. Your father is Hades. He's trying to stop you. There's reasons for it. Overall, just an amazing package. Beautiful story. I highly recommend this. The combat's great. Multiple weapons, 6 different weapons that you can get, upgrade, stuff like that. God powers from Zeus, Poseidon, all those guys. Just a really, really fun game.
Yes.
Question.
Yes.
What level did you talk about that?
Like maybe 3 or 4 ago.
3 or 4. Okay. 3 or 4 ago. Okay. So
when I can't, actually I do know it's level 14, the level I came back, because I had all that time off and I played this game for 40 hours.
Oh.
I loved it. Okay. I loved it.
So, and it being an indie game and everything, were you surprised that it got a spot for a Game of the Year choice?
No, because their previous game, Pyre, I don't know if you guys have heard of that one.
Yep.
I haven't.
That was also, it was my 3rd game of the year that year. I do a little weird thing before we even started the podcast where I would put my games in order of my favorite on my PlayStation dashboard, because they allowed you to do folders. So that was my number 3 for that year it came out. Same thing. Great voice acting, great music, great story. Like, Supergiant is just a fantastic indie developer, and I'm super excited for their next game. It's going to be years away, but I will buy it day one.
Okay.
So you would arrange the games in your PlayStation folder from
every year.
10 best, 10 favorite.
How many I bought? So if I bought 20 games that year, it would be 1 through 20.
Oh.
And that's why I'm so sad PlayStation 5 does not have folders.
What are you gonna do?
I don't know. I'm lost.
Wow, guys. Wow, guys. What a nerd, right?
Am I right?
Am I right?
Oh, I'm just glad I got people to talk to about it now. Like beforehand, I would just say it out loud. Like, and now Pyre number 3. Like that's all I could do.
Well, I'm glad we're here for you now.
Thank you.
Yes.
I was more talking about the listeners. I don't care about you two, but the listeners. Thank you guys.
Right. I'm glad that both the listeners and we can improve your mental health.
Yes, thank you.
Yes. So, speaking of nerdy, my number 3 game is a little game called Microsoft Flight Simulator.
What?
Now, guys, let me tell you something. Okay, for one, this game won the Game Award for Best Strategy / Simulation Game of the Year, which, by the way, is stupid. Because this game and other strategy games have nothing to do with one another. They don't even mechanically play the same. Why is it in the same category? That's a different rant for a different day. Microsoft Flight Simulator. God. Let me tell you the things about it. For one, this game, I don't know if you guys seen trailers or screenshots of it. This thing is freaking gorgeous. This game is absolutely beautiful. Okay. Another thing about it that's just impressive, it pulls real world data, satellite data, and basically I think it's topography, right? For all the different types of landscapes and geography you'll be flying across. Right now, there's 2 different versions of the game. There's like the deluxe version, which is like $120, and then there's the standard edition. The standard edition is what you also get in Game Pass. So that's where I played it. And the standard edition has 20 airplanes and about 30 airports. Okay. 20 airplanes is a lot of airplanes. You can fly these little ones to these big Boeings. The cab, like the system, whatever you like, your console, it's like super duper realistic, crazy realistic. And you can play it with either keyboard or mouse or controller. I played it with controller. It works perfectly fine with controller. And it's the other thing is, it's like, even though it's a really complex game, it's still simple. You can really jump into it and enjoy it. But I enjoy just taking off, flying. You have to be good. You have to like really put practice into landing. It's not like Grand Theft Auto. Okay. You have to really try to make sure that you're treating this somewhat like it's an actual plane, because that's how it treats itself. So, it's just a great game, man. It's just absolutely spectacular. Like it's just spectacular, man. I've enjoyed my time with it. Will I keep doing it or keep playing it? Probs not, because I don't be flying planes like that. But I didn't really enjoy the time I spent in it. And I'll probably, I jump back into it every here and there. But yeah. So my number 3, Flight Simulator.
That was just out of left field.
I don't remember you talking about this game at all.
I mentioned this at least a couple times.
No, I don't think so. This guy's just holding on to game so he can do the top 10 of the year and surprise us.
Okay.
And
well, I mean, he's doing a very good job.
I respect it. Thank you.
Okay.
We're as surprised as
no
the
idea.
audience.
Okay. Okay.
I think maybe we just don't listen to Jeremy.
That's a possibility.
Like while he's talking about his games, we're like researching our next points. And what do we got to say? Great picks, Jeremy.
Yeah.
He just
Yeah.
went on a long,
Yeah.
heartfelt spiel, and okay.
Right. While you're researching the horrible argument of microtransactions in games, I'm up here talking about great stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's all right. It's all right.
It's also my memory is really bad, so that could also be a huge tie. But me having a bad memory gives me my number 2, because Cory had to remind me that I played this game. I sat and did one solid playthrough, and I played it for the first time this year. Came out 3 years ago. I was waiting to get VR to play it so I could experience it like that and not know what's gonna happen. But it was on sale on Steam, so I got it. And this game is Resident Evil 7.
Ah, that's true. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the game you beat in one playthrough.
Yes.
Like a mad person. Yeah.
Yes. It was like 6.5 hours. It wasn't too bad. But I remember the level. I don't remember what level it was, but I was talking about the games I played. And Cory's like, didn't you play Resident Evil 7 this weekend? I was like, oh yeah. But I mean, that was a solid game. That was a great story. They're making Resident Evil 8 based off of this one. It's definitely different from the others. It did keep that horror sense that the original ones did. And I mean, playing this one finally is what really is putting me on edge, waiting for Resident Evil 8 to come out. That's my number 2. That's why it's so high up there.
And I think you had mentioned that if you did a Resident Evil top 5 list now, that would make it.
It would, yeah, because I did do that before I played this one.
Right, so I think that speaks like super highly of that game.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go back and do that again after all these Resident Evils that were released
come out next year.
Those hackers come out. I'll have to reevaluate myself.
All right. My number 2 is the best game to inspire a little-known director named Akira Kurosawa Game of the Year. Now, that's a little wordy. I apologize. But the game I'm talking about, of course, is Ghost of Tsushima. Talked about this, man, for probably 4 levels straight. I love this game.
Yeah.
It's the most game out of anything I've played this year, where it's not worried about being super realistic where you pick up items or how you craft things. You're playing a game. So yeah, you're having fun with it. You're riding on a horse as you pick up ingredients off the ground. The combat's great. The art style is amazing. Some of the areas in that game look better than anything I've seen in games. Like those colors really pop out. It has a great protagonist with Jin Sakai. You really kind of grow to understand why he's doing what he's doing throughout the game, and you grow to love him. Like I said, combat's amazing, graphics amazing, music pretty good. The missions were fun. Great story throughout. I really, really hope they make a sequel. This was just a game that really took me by surprise. I wasn't that into it when it was coming out. It was kind of an afterthought. And honestly, without this podcast, I don't know if I would have even bought it, but I wanted the game to play. I bought it. I'm so thankful. Great, amazing game. Please, please, please pick up this game if you haven't already.
And now you can't wait for the second one to come out on PlayStation 5, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah, me either. Yeah. I can't wait. So much I can't wait. What were you going to say, David?
I was just saying, are you going to have the first one beat by the time it comes out?
Oh,
that's a very low blow. That is a very low blow.
So, Jeremy, why don't you go and talk about the first third of this game right now? Go on.
Okay. So, see, this is what happens. Is I get assaulted. I was just a bystander. I endorsed Cory's number 2, right? And this is what I get. As far as David's dig, I don't want to say wait until after the music at the end of this podcast, but maybe wait.
Listen.
Maybe wait until after the music at the end of this podcast.
You're gonna have a good time.
We're gonna have a good time.
After you hear final thoughts, just end the episode. Don't even
Right.
bother. Don't bother with the rest of it.
Right.
Go on with your day. That's all I gotta say.
Well, I will say that my number 2 is a seconding of Cory's number 2. My number 2 is Ghost of Tsushima. Though I have only completed now a little over the third of the game. Thanks, guys. The reason I am taking my
40%.
time, the reason I am taking 37%, the reason I am taking my time with it is because when you have a good thing, you want to drink it in slow and you want to savor every single sip and drop of it. And that's what I'm doing with this game. This game is great, taking inspiration from the great late Akira Kurosawa and doing excellent stuff with the combat, which feels easy to grasp, hard to master. The story, the main protagonist of Jin Sakai, dealing with the theme of survival versus, I guess, what you would think is honor or dignity, and how those kind of ideologies clash within the character and the world. It's just absolutely spectacular. Sucker Punch they got the Game Award for Best Art Direction. This game is absolutely beautiful, and it plays very well. It's just a great game. It's just an absolutely great game, an honor and a privilege to play it. That is my choice for the second best game of this year. And we're now, guys, we've now reached number 1. I don't know if you guys know what that means. That means these are the games we thought, or the game we thought was the best of this year. So please consider carefully the words you speak about these games. David, you're first up. What game took your heart in 2020?
All right. So, even though you highly disagree with this, I've been waiting for so long for this game. It hit me so hard, and just, it's so beautiful. It's Last of Us Part 2. As you all know, I'm not really into the story mode games, stuff like that, but I was at a friend's house and they were watching them play the first part. I just instantly loved it. Like, I literally got a PS3 just so I could buy The Last of Us and play it. So waiting so long for this one to come out, how well the story is done, how much of a grip it just takes you, and for it to tell stories from the way that it did. This is such an amazing game. I'm so glad they did with what they did with it. And I know Naughty Dog does have some crunch issues or whatever, but I mean, I still have to, applaud the creators for this masterpiece of a game. So this did win the Game of the Year award for the actual awards. So I know you might not agree too much, but I mean, I think it deserves it. It's an amazing work of art. I couldn't recommend it over any other thing ever. I love it. That's it.
I agree,
There's my
David.
bumble.
Obviously, it was my number 6. I think it's a great game too. Like I said, that story, while controversial, it was really well told. And yeah, it hurt, but I think a lot of it made sense. Jeremy, you're not trying to kill any vibes, is what you're doing, right?
That's correct.
Okay, well then I'm gonna go on.
Let's continue.
So my number 1 game is a game I've only mentioned once on this podcast because I played the majority of it before we started a podcast. And the little tagline for this is "It's the best game of the year." Simple as that. It is Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Oh.
In my opinion, this game has the best combat out of any game that I played this year. And when I look to play a game, I want to enjoy every moment of that game. And when you have repetitive combat or combat that just doesn't stick, it's really hard to enjoy the 10, 15, 20, 30 hours that you play through this game. Not Final Fantasy VII Remake. I enjoyed every minute of the combat. I really enjoyed the characters. I was not a Final Fantasy VII fan, the original one. I had never played it. But to actually learn about these characters and figure out what their motivations are, I kind of fell in love with all of them. Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, and Barrett all have really great motivations. They're all well acted, well voice acted. The graphics, character models are amazing in this game. And the story was great. Now, Final Fantasy VII is a 20-year-old game. I think we all know the spoilers for that game. So even without playing it, I knew what to expect. But they turned that on its head. And you don't know what you're going to get with the future installments. Now, this is only part 1, so I'm very much looking forward to part 2. But this game was amazing. It'll probably land somewhere in my top 20 games of all time at this point. And I'm very excited for the future installments. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake, my number 1 game of the year. Fantastic.
Did not see that coming.
Yeah, did not expect that at
I
all.
never had a chance to talk about it. Like I was done when we started. So but yeah, great game. Great game. I loved it.
Nice.
And I did mention Final Fantasy VII out of these 4 games was the first one I played, and then I played Ghost, and then I played Hades, and I played Spider-Man. So it was really like I really favored that earlier experience. It was like the first really great experience I had in the year, and it stuck with me.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. My number 1, I'm pretty sure you guys already know what it is now.
I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, I know what it is.
You know what it is.
Kill that boy.
Exactly. The number 1, the number one game for me this year was Crusader Kings 3. I have a murder plot on a baby.
That's it. Now, that's the show. That's the episode.
That's not only a thing that you could possibly do. That's a thing I am doing right now in the game. I have a murder plot on a baby, and I have a murder plot on another baby that might succeed my baby. So understand that's how deep this game gets. Okay. In regards to the strategy, this is why just another again. This is why it doesn't make sense that Microsoft Flight Simulator beats Crusader Kings 3 in a simulation strategy thing, because they're nothing alike. They're virtually nothing alike. In Flight Simulator, you fly planes. In Crusader Kings 3, you can kill babies. I don't understand how they're even in the same category. But still, Crusader Kings 3, David, don't say it now.
Well, I was just saying you could kill.
Don't say it now. Don't say it now.
Depending on where you crash the
don't
plane.
Say it now. Okay, you went and said it.
I'm sorry.
So yes, but Crusader Kings 3, it has a tremendous amount of depth. You can be hundreds of years into your empire and your kingdom, building it, fighting with possibly different family factions, obviously other factions, building up resources, learning how to take over and control the world. You can start from basically almost virtually any country or any county in the world and build your empire from there. Or you can play some of the great historical figures, because it is a historical strategy game, grand strategy game. This game, when it came out, ran well, no issues there. It looks gorgeous. The music is absolutely exceptional. There's a tremendous amount of cheats and mods for the game if you want to modify it to a different experience. This game is fantastic. This game is kind of like, for me, as far as grand strategy games, this game for me is what Morrowind was for me, however many years back when I started to play it. Like, oh, I didn't know there were games like this.
Wow.
I knew there were games like this, but I didn't know there were games like this. Crusader Kings 3 is the same thing. I've known about grand scale strategy games. I've played Hearts of Iron. I know about Europa Universalis and stuff like that. But this is like, oh, this is really like those games done exceptionally well in a way that I can grasp. So, number one, without a doubt, Crusader Kings 3. Again, I reiterate, I have a murder plot to kill multiple babies. And that's just playing politics. So, yes, it's my number one game of the year. Crusader Kings 3. Fantastic. CK3, as they call it.
Love the pick, man. I cannot wait for you to update us. Like, I want you to play it so bad so I can hear the stories.
I guarantee you by the end of the year, I will kill that baby. Okay. That's a guarantee I'm going to make.
You got a few days left, man.
Because I've been taking my sweet time with offing this baby, but no longer. Like, this baby's got to go. So,
yeah. You had it coming.
He had it coming.
I really like that Jeremy and I shared one, Cory and I shared one, and then Cory and Jeremy shared one for our games.
There we go.
Yeah.
We're not so different, us three.
Here we are.
But we're also very different.
Yeah.
We're 10% the same.
I understood none of those games Jeremy mentioned with CK3.
Yeah.
Iron Hearts and Solaris and
wow.
They sound great.
Yeah, right. Hearts of Iron.
Oh,
Europa Universalis.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, cool, man. No, I'm glad. This was awesome.
Yeah. Oh, another one also, Imperator Rome. Gotta get that out there.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'll put it on my list.
Good. It's actually a really good game.
I believe you. I really do. These games sound fantastic. It sounds like the level of time you got to put into it, though, is too much for me. But I appreciate it. That's why I want you to play it so I can hear the stories because they're great, man.
You do the work for me. Tell me about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's number one game. Number one game is Lu 2. It is Final Fantasy VII Remake, and it is Crusader Kings 3. So all of these are like not numbered. They're not like first iterations of any franchises. They're sequels and stuff. Which I'm not sure if that says anything, but there you go. That is our top 10 games of the year, ladies and gentlemen, chickens, ducks, and hens. Let us know what you think. Let us know what your favorite games of the year were. That's going to be the end of our list, which moves us to change some stuff up this episode, this level, but we're going to keep one thing, and that's final thoughts. Now, I think what we want to do is before we do our individual final thoughts, kind of give a collective final thought of what we thought of this year in gaming, this pandemic year in gaming. So who wants to start that off?
Yeah, I'll go real quick.
Okay.
I'd mentioned already 6 through 1. I would have been very happy with any of those games being my game of the year. So 2020 to me has been a absolutely fantastic year of gaming. We also saw the release of new consoles. I got a new VR system. So overall, I've had a blast this entire year playing games. I'm especially coming off of 2019, which I think was a little bit of a weaker year. So to come back on a year where a new console launches and still have all these really, really fantastic games, I'm super happy. I can't wait for 2021. I hope it's just as good as this year.
Yeah. I think I'm kind of feeling the same way. I think this year was a pretty good year for games. Going with these larger AAA releases as well as indies, right? Like you had Hades, I had Spiritfarer, David, you had Mo Astray. I think it's been a very quality year for video games. And then you include the consoles, that kind of being a bit of a cluster, but hey, we got new systems.
That's right.
It's something to look forward to. So yeah, I think 2020 for video games, definitely a pretty highlight year.
I agree. And also with, the whole pandemic thing going on, a lot of people turned to video games to keep them sane.
Yeah.
And so sales blew up and stuff, you couldn't find a Switch or Animal Crossing for a month or two. And all these great games coming out. It was the systems like you guys said. I think it was a great year for video games. No doubt.
All right. So that's our final thoughts on gaming. Now we're gonna give you just our final thoughts. Our final thoughts of the year. So Cory, you went first on that one. David, you want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
I'll go first.
Okay.
My final thought is now this time of year is, very hard for a lot of people, but, try to think of the positive side. Just say happy holidays, everybody. Be safe. Enjoy your time with who you can be with, and I'll see you guys next year.
Nice. So I'm debating my final thought because one of mine is political, which I don't think we want to do. So I'm trying to think of another one possibly.
Save that for the Twitter. All right. I'll go real quick.
Yeah.
All right. So as David said, see you next year. I believe this will be our last level before the new year begins.
Correct.
And I just want to say how incredible of a journey this has been. This has been fantastic. I love talking video games. You two co-hosts are both amazing at what you do, talking about games, playing your games. And man, the numbers that we have seen with viewership, it's been great. It's crazy that we've had 2,000 unique downloads this year. Who's listening? That's amazing that you're listening to us. Please keep it going. We'll try to provide you with great content. But yeah, just thank you guys. It really is motivating seeing people listening to us and hopefully enjoying us.
I agree.
My final thought is, I guess, appreciation. Obviously, I'm appreciative for Cory and David, this podcast, the listeners, but also appreciative of, again, family, friends, loved ones. This has been very much, I guess, kind of like a dark alley of a year. And so I think you have to find those pieces of light where you can. Sometimes they just don't pop up to you. You have to look for them. But when you find them, you cherish them, you hold on to them deeply. That is my final thought for this year, 2020, of the Thoughts and Players podcast. We will be back next year, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, with more jokes and terrible takes from Cory and just, the typical, we'll look out and see which games David forgot he played next year. We're going to make sure that we look out for that. That's going to be great.
I will try to listen to the games you talk about this year. Okay. We really will try to listen to you.
That would be appreciated.
Good.
Yes. And also make sure too, something else you were going to say, Cory, or I can plug it at the end, which is our Twitter.
Yeah.
Our Twitter. So, that, if you like what you heard, you can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Thoughts and Players, all one word, as well as on Instagram at thoughts.players. And we are also now on Twitter at thoughtsplayers2. Whole lot of stuff popping off there. Cory, a very chatty cat.
Yeah. A lot of notifications.
We also have our YouTube channel, Thoughts and Players Podcast. And guys, we have a TikTok.
Woo!
Yeah, I was very surprised you made that.
With one talk. And our username on there is Thoughts Players. Very simple. It's very easy. Okay. We have a talk on there, and we will probably be putting more, especially when we begin to meet more in person, and we can put these kind of candid behind-the-scenes videos because we want to engage you guys more in the creation process, in the content making process. Again, we got some ideas for next year, content things, different types of stuff like that. So we hope that you've enjoyed listening to us and you stay along for the journey, because next year it's going to be best, and it's going to be better than this year. And you know what I'll do? I'll quote one of our forefathers, Dr. Disrespect, who famously says, "We're at the tippy top of the mountain, but we're really only halfway up." That's it, everyone.
Okay.
That's it, everyone. We will catch you on the next level.
Smell you later, 2020.